Natural rocks don't slow themselves down. They don't choose where they're going. And yet, right now, 3I Atlas is doing precisely that. On March 17, 2026, this interstellar visitor is scheduled to reach the Moon, deep inside Jupiter's orbital domain. By every calculation, this should not be possible. Intelligence agencies say the details are classified. The mainstream response calls it coincidence. I'll be straight with you, I don't accept that. This isn't a casual pass-by. It isn't some random drift through empty space. This is a rendezvous. The arrival of 3I Atlas near Jupiter is deliberate. It's not an accident, it's an arrival. And somehow, we're the only ones still pretending it's just a comet. What troubles me most is how much effort is being spent to keep our attention elsewhere. I can't shake the sense that we are watching the most significant moment in human history unfold, while the official explanation reads like a dull textbook passage. Since the moment it entered our system, 3I Atlas has ignored the rules. It's exhibited non-gravitational acceleration. Its chemical fingerprint shows an unusual nickel signature, one that hints at industrial processes. And now, it has a destination. We're talking about a precision maneuver toward Jupiter's Hill sphere, the invisible boundary where Jupiter's gravity overtakes the Sun's. 3I Atlas is skimming that border with a margin of error of just 0.1%. If you drove a car at 100 miles per hour and parked it flawlessly in a garage you'd never seen before, people would call you a master. But when an interstellar object pulls off the same feat across millions of miles of darkness, we're told it's just strange physics. I don't think that explanation holds. This feels less like physics and more like intention. In March 2026, we're approaching a threshold that changes everything. If 3I Atlas enters that orbit and remains there, it becomes Jupiter's 96th moon. A moon that didn't exist yesterday. A moon that came from another star. We often underestimate how silent the universe can be and how dependent we've become on that silence to keep our sense of normalcy intact. But that quiet is about to end. To understand why this defies logic, we need to talk about the Hill sphere. It's not a term used in everyday conversation, but it's the most critical boundary in the Jovian system. It marks the point where Jupiter's gravity finally overwhelms the Sun's. For a planet this massive, that line sits roughly 53.5 million kilometers out. 3I Atlas is set to cross it at 53.6 million kilometers, so close it's practically scraping the fence. The more you study that number, the harder it is to ignore the feeling that this isn't a tumbling rock. It's a pilot selecting a glide path. Why does this matter? Because for an object to remain inside that sphere, to be captured and become a moon, it must slow down. An interstellar object is moving far too fast. It's like trying to catch a bullet with silk without tearing it. There's no air and space to provide drag. No natural way to shed kinetic energy unless the object slams directly into the planet. Avi Loeb, the Harvard astronomer who's been at the center of this debate, argues that unless the object is fragmenting in an incredibly specific and nearly impossible way, the only viable explanation for stable capture is propulsion. And yet, we see no massive gas plumes, no obvious rocket exhaust. What we see instead is a silent, almost ghost-like adjustment. And then there's the chemistry. Spectroscopic analysis shows 3I Atlas has an unusually high nickel-to-iron ratio. In nature, those elements usually appear together. But when nickel appears alone, or in extreme concentrations, it points to industrial refining. It's exactly the kind of material you'd choose to build a hull meant to survive a 1,000-year journey through darkness. Some researchers suspect the outgassing we've observed isn't natural at all, but a highly efficient propulsion system masquerading as one. Others argue we simply don't understand comet behavior in deep space. But comets don't make microcorrections after passing the Sun to hit a target millions of miles away. 3I Atlas did. It altered its course. It made a decision. And that decision is guiding it straight toward one of the strangest collections of objects in our solar system, the Anomaly group. Music. The idea that this is no accident becomes unavoidable once you examine where 3I Atlas is headed. Not just toward Jupiter, but toward a very specific neighborhood known as the Anomaly group. These aren't moons like Io or Europa. They're irregulars, small, jagged bodies orbiting in retrograde, moving opposite Jupiter's rotation. It's like traffic flowing the wrong way on a highway. The official explanation says they're captured asteroids, ancient debris trapped long ago. But here's what never sits right with me. We have almost no clear images of them. Despite decades of missions to Jupiter, the Anomaly group remains little more than blurry pixels, almost as if they don't want to be seen. Take Euphemie, for example, a tiny object just 2 kilometers across. On March 17th, one day after crossing Jupiter's boundary, 3i Atlas will make a close pass by Euphemie. Ask yourself, why would an object that traveled light years through interstellar space choose to dance with a backward-orbiting rock barely 2 kilometers wide? If you were hiding a beacon, a base, or a refueling station, wouldn't you choose the place no one looks? A location where the orbit itself acts as camouflage? I can't escape the feeling that the Anomaly group isn't a cluster of rocks at all, but a fleet of ancient, dormant machines waiting for a signal. And the timing is unsettling. In January 2026, Euphemie reached its apoapsis, its farthest point from Jupiter, almost as if stepping aside to meet the visitor halfway. That level of orbital synchronization is statistically chilling. It's like threading a needle from a mile away while both are moving. I don't know if that interpretation is correct, but it's hard not to feel like we're watching a handoff. A journey through the void is ending. Docking procedures are about to begin. If 3i Atlas settles into a stable orbit near Euphemie, the captured asteroid theory collapses. Rocks don't decide to join retrograde groups. They're placed there. We're tracking its light curve now, and the way it reflects light shows a metallic sheen that's nearly impossible for a natural body to maintain. It's too clean, too reflective, almost as if it's just awakened from a long sleep. What troubles me most is the silence. We're told it's coincidence. But in space, coincidences are often just math we haven't acknowledged yet. When 2 objects in the void move toward one another with this level of precision, you stop calling it physics and start calling it navigation. We're watching a 1947-style event unfold in slow motion, while most people argue over whether the image is a smudge on the lens. But the lens is clear, the math is clear, and the destination is Euphemie. If you were hiding a beacon, a base, or a refueling station, wouldn't you choose the place no one looks? A location where the orbit itself acts as camouflage? I can't escape the feeling that the Anomaly group isn't a cluster of rocks at all, but a fleet of ancient, dormant machines waiting for a signal. And the timing is unsettling. In January 2026, Euphemie reached its apoapsis, its farthest point from Jupiter, almost as if stepping aside to meet the visitor halfway. That level of orbital synchronization is statistically chilling. It's like threading a needle from a mile away while both are moving. I don't know if that interpretation is correct, but it's hard not to feel like we're watching a handoff. A journey through the void is ending. Docking procedures are about to begin. If 3i Atlas settles into a stable orbit near Euphemie, the captured asteroid theory collapses. Rocks don't decide to join retrograde groups. They're placed there. We're tracking its light curve now, and the way it reflects light shows a metallic sheen that's nearly impossible for a natural body to maintain. It's too clean, too reflective, almost as if it's just awakened from a long sleep. What troubles me most is the silence. We're told it's coincidence. But in space, coincidences are often just math we haven't acknowledged yet. When 2 objects in the void move toward one another with this level of precision, you stop calling it physics and start calling it navigation. We're watching a 1947-style event unfold in slow motion, while most people argue over whether the image is a smudge on the lens. But the lens is clear, the math is clear, and the destination is Euphemie. These are the days future textbooks will describe. The log is about to bare its teeth. The void is finding its voice. I don't know if we're ready for what happens when it speaks, but we can't keep pretending the river is empty. The alligator is here. It wants a destination, and it's already pulling into the driveway. There's a sadness in realizing how long we've been kept in the dark, believing we were the only ones watching the stars, never considering that they might be watching us too. 3i Atlas isn't just a threat or a marvel, it's a mirror. It shows us how little we understand our own backyard. As it settles among Jupiter's irregular moons, it reminds us the solar system isn't a museum, it's a living harbor. And we're just the latest arrivals. I don't know what you'll be doing on March 16th, but I know where I'll be. Watching the telemetry, waiting for the moment the map of our solar system changes forever. It's a strange feeling, isn't it? Realizing the universe is far bigger, and far more crowded than we were ever told. The silence is breaking. The void is speaking. And 3i Atlas is the message. If you want to stay with us as we track this arrival into Jupiter's domain, subscribe and leave a like. It genuinely helps keep this investigation alive. And if you have your own theory about what's waiting out there, leave a comment. We read them all. Because on this journey, we only have each other. Stay curious. Keep watching the stars. Because they are absolutely watching us. And maybe that's the hardest part to accept. Not fear. Not awe. But the realization that the universe never promised us solitude. We assumed it. We built our philosophies around it. We taught our children to look up and believe the stars were distant, silent, and indifferent. But silence, it turns out, was never proof of emptiness. Only proof that we weren't listening closely enough. 3i Atlas isn't shouting. It isn't flashing lights or broadcasting greetings. It's doing something far more unsettling. It's behaving with restraint, with patience, with precision. The kind of precision that suggests whoever built it understands gravity better than we do, understands time better than we do, understands us better than we're comfortable admitting. Think about that for a moment. An object that crossed interstellar space, that adjusted its velocity without fire or flame, that threaded the narrowest gravitational corridor in the Jovian system, that aimed not for Jupiter, but for the shadows around it. That is not exploration. That is arrival. And arrivals imply expectation. We like to imagine first contact as something loud and undeniable, a broadcast, a landing, a spectacle. But nature rarely works that way. Neither does intelligence. Real intelligence studies first. It listens. It waits. It parks itself somewhere quiet and watches who notices. Right now, 3i Atlas is asking a question. Not with words, but with motion. Not with signals, but with mathematics. The question is simple. Are you paying attention? Most won't. Most will keep calling it a rock. Because rocks don't demand responsibility. Rocks don't force us to redefine our place in the universe. But if this is not a rock, if this is technology, then we are no longer observers. We are participants. And history shows that the moment you become part of the equation, everything changes. So over the next few weeks, watch the numbers. Watch the margins. Watch how carefully this object behaves when no one is supposed to be watching. Because if it settles in, if it becomes Jupiter's newest moon, then the solar system didn't just gain another satellite. It gained a visitor. And visitors don't arrive without a reason. Whatever happens next, one thing is already clear. The age of assuming we are alone is ending. Not with a bang, but with a quiet, deliberate turn of the wheel in the darkness. The universe didn't knock. It parked. And now, it's waiting to see who answers the door. I'd love to hear what you think about this, so drop a comment below. If you enjoyed our conversation today, please share this video and subscribe to help the channel grow. Every bit of support counts.